Hello.
Hey, I'm gonna mute. Hi. I'm gonna
Hi.
because otherwise all anybody will hear is me coughing
Oh,
and talking is very exhausting right
yeah.
now in a very strange way. Where are you, Val?
I'm at my house.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, no problem. I know you're not feeling well, and I'm glad you can make it and no pressure to talk at
Thank you.
all.
Oop.
Hi, Kristen.
Val, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Well, yeah.
Hmm. Hi, Liz.
Hi, I'm trying to get my video on. I'm not quite sure why it went off.
Okay, no problem. We're all landing. We'll see if we have one more coming. How's everybody's day going so far?
Great.
Good. And how's yours, Kristen?
It's been a long day. I'm tired.
Mm,
I'm actually might be off camera for a little bit because I need to snack a little bit because I'm a little hungry, but
that's great. Yeah, take care of yourself. Um, no pressure to keep your camera on at all.
I think you know how my day has been, Val.
I
I
know.
I've got bronchitis, my friends, and I'm gonna stay off camera because I am not camera ready, and I'm gonna mute mostly so you don't have to hear me cough.
Hmm. Yeah, everyone is kind of having different days, and that's beautiful. Hmm. Alrighty. Well, we might just get started here because um, yeah. Oh, you got your camera working?
I did.
Yes, I can see you.
Okay, now I can't see you. It's saying I'm a post attendee. So I might hop off and try and rejoin, okay?
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
Okay, you're here.
I know. Yay.
Yay. All right. Well, we'll start with a grounding meditation. So wherever you're at, you can just find a comfortable position where you can breathe deep into your low belly. And if it's comfortable, you can close your eyes and maybe rest one hand on your low belly and one hand on your heart. And just following the breath as it moves in and out. And encouraging the breath to move into the belly, followed by the chest. And then exhaling from the chest first, and then the belly. Really encouraging the breath to stay in the lower belly as long as possible. And bring to mind everything that's present for you right now, whether that's emotions, thoughts, sensations. And imagining a cauldron in front of you, just placing each of these into the cauldron in front of you so you can see it all. Today, we're going to be focused in on the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual digestion, energetic. So all of these things that you've placed in the cauldron will be items that we're working to absorb and digest and nourish ourselves or eliminate from our body. And so when you're ready, you can open your eyes, come back to the space. And we'll have a quick check-in. No pressure, Cheryl, but if anyone wants to share anything that came up for them. And we also have a new person today, so if you'd like to introduce yourself, you're welcome to do that. And everyone is welcome to say their name and just what they're coming with tonight. Alrighty, well, I'll go first. In my cauldron, I have some sensations of floatiness. I've had kind of a floaty day and it's been hard to feel really grounded and in the world. And so that was my sensation. And emotionally, I'm feeling content. And energetically, I'm feeling kind of one foot in one home. As you mentioned, Cheryl, I'm in my house, but it's temporary. I'm getting ready to move. And so I've been deep in the moving process. And so I'm feeling kind of, maybe that's what's leading to the floaty feeling, but I'm feeling kind of one foot in one door and one foot in another.
I'll be happy to go next.
Awesome.
I think I'm your new person. So my name is Liz, and I come here tonight just full of love and gratefulness and warmth. I just had a nice hot dinner, so my stomach feels good. And I have a little space heater by me, so my toes are warm. And I'm just really open to learning new things tonight.
Thank you. It's great to have you here.
Thanks.
I'm Marina. I'm sorry. I'm so visual. Like I just read your name.
I'm Marina. Technically that's my last name now, but I'm going by it. So, sorry, I've been eating cookies in the background because I forgot to eat before this. Yeah, that 1 foot in, 1 foot out thing, kind of got me. My partner just moved away, and so our relationship is in a really great place, but he's not physically here. So it's yeah, it's been, I think, the cauldron, the kind of tumultuous right now. It's like a transition time, and I knew that this, we knew this was coming, and also I knew that this is needed for both of us to kind of focus on our own stuff right now. But I also, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to turn this into a soap opera, so I should probably I don't want to.
No, there's space for it. It's not.
Yeah, there are thoughts of potentially me moving to Phoenix, and before he left, I thought this was going to be over and I was just going to be starting again, and it got serious like a week before he left, and has been beautiful. But now navigating a relationship that's in a really beautiful spot and also physical separation is an interesting challenge for today and the week and going forward.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I think that definitely makes sense. And yeah, it's hard. Physical distance is hard.
I will say though, like now that I'm kind of more spiritual and energy based, it's like I don't feel the separation in the same way that I used to. Like I feel that more like soul connection where the physical isn't as important, but I don't know. Yeah, that's an aside.
Yeah, that
But-
definitely makes sense too.
But the physical's nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And how's your body feeling? I know you were a little sore last class.
I'm still healing from the accident, but doing better. Yeah.
Good. Mm. All right, Cheryl, is there anything you wanted to add?
Or briefly,
Mm.
physically, it's been rough for a week with I have RSV, bronchitis. And then, I think emotionally, I have struggled with disappointment and a fork in the road. I felt like the beginning of the year I was on a real roll with my health and my spiritual balance. And not that I'm there, but that I really felt good about the routines and practices. And Val and I have talked about this just a tiny bit. And I was mourning the last couple of days the loss of something that I thought I had a tight hold on, and that this illness has maybe gotten in the way of. But I will be honest, today I feel like I may be just turning or maybe looking around a corner, because my cauldron has some optimism in it right now and some hopefulness because of how today has gone. And I feel like I'm in a good space, and I'm glad we're all here tonight.
Thank you for sharing. And yeah, nothing like illness to kind of bring up some of the gunk in all the ways, physically, emotionally. I totally understand that. So thank you for sharing that. And I'm glad you're here. And yeah, so tonight, like I said, we're going to be talking about the digestive system. And a few of you have filled out my like longer digestive questionnaire. And we've gone through that in more depth. And Marina, I don't think that you have, and so that's no problem at all. But it is one tool that I use in looking at the digestive health on a physical level that can also point us towards which energy centers are also potentially needing more support. And so that's one way I look at the digestive system. And also just knowing that we have so many nerves within our digestive system that it's actually classified as its own nervous system, or the enteric nervous system, and it can kind of operate on its own without our brain. And so the saying, the gut instinct, is something we're definitely going to be working with tonight, because our bodies are so wise, and sometimes we get these digestive instincts that are leading us towards something, but often we've been conditioned to not listen to our gut instinct, or it's just quieted amongst the other distractions going on in our life. So yeah, that's what we're going to be getting into. Yeah, so I just want to give a brief overview of the physical digestion process. So when we first start digesting, does anyone know where digestion begins?
I'll just guess in the stomach.
That's a great guess, because that's where we would probably assume it's beginning.
I would guess in the mouth.
That's another great guess. Yeah. So technically, digestion is starting in our brain.
Oh,
So like if we're thinking about what we want to eat, oh, I want a cookie. I have some cacao here. I was like, oh, I want some cacao. The digestive process is beginning at that first thought of what do I want to eat. And that's beginning our digestive cascade throughout the body of beginning to secrete enzymes, first in the mouth, like Marina said, and then in the stomach, in the small intestine, and the large intestine. And then we have supplemental organs, the liver, the pancreas, the spleen, that are also helping to secrete enzymes as the food, which then becomes a bolus, BOLUS, moves through the system and basically is broken down and used or eliminated. So I think it's helpful to know that the digestive process starts in the brain, because it really can help us honor our cravings and also our process of thinking about what we really want to eat, just knowing that that's part of our digestion. And often, I know for myself, I have to pack my lunch. And so that's sometimes we don't have the opportunity to think about like, oh, what do I want to eat right now? It's kind of like, what did I bring with me, or what's available in between meetings or whatnot. If you can hear Teddy slurping his water, it feels kind of excessive right now. I don't know if you can hear him. He's working on that digestive process of water. Yeah, so sometimes we don't get the opportunity, but we can still think about the food prior to eating it to just give ourselves an opportunity to get our digestive tract primed. And then if you've worked with me in more depth, you know my kind of obsession over looking at bowels. And this came from my own journey with IBS type symptoms of moving from constipation to very loose diarrhea type bowels and just kind of not understanding what was happening in my body, what's causing the shift. And then getting really tuned in each morning to like, oh, what does it look like today? So ideally our bowel movements are happening at least once a day, and they're like a log shape and they're smooth. They come out without pain, pretty easily, and they're in one piece. And if we're tending more towards looser bowels or rough edges, or burning or oily, that's more towards the 1 on the scale. And then 7 on the scale is more towards the constipation, either very difficult to pass or small pellets. And then somewhere in between, like 3.5 is that kind of log shaped bowel. So that's another way that I think is really, really easy to just kind of check in each day. I'm going to pull up a picture of this. With how we're digesting in the moment rather than looking towards the questionnaire, and just kind of again working towards understanding what's going on for our own body. I'm having a hard time. Technology is hard for me today. Okay. All right. So here's this chart. Can you all see the shared thing? Okay, so I got it backwards. 7 is loose diarrhea, liquid, and 1 is hard clumps. But we're aiming for somewhere between, 4 ideally. That's just moving out and coming once a day, 1 to 3 times a day. And there's a lot of reasons for this to be off, and mine, I definitely am not at a 4 every single day, once a day. It's very much impacted by not just what I eat, how I eat, but also emotions and external environment. So, and then the other way to kind of assess our digestion is through just how our stomach is feeling, and how, if we're having stomach pain, if we're feeling bloated, if we're having indigestion, burping, any of these other kind of queasiness, those are also ways for us to kind of tune into what our digestive system is telling us. The other thing is kind of like feeling ravenous, and just like no matter what you're eating, you're not feeling full. And that's another kind of larger symptom out of how we're processing our food, how we're absorbing it, and if we're actually getting the nutrients that we need from our food. So, are there any questions so far? Okay. So there's a few things that can be helpful if we're struggling towards one side or the other of the 7 or 1. Definitely spending some time with the mind before eating, to allow for the digestive enzymes to be secreted in time, in appropriate timing. And then once we are eating, making sure that we're in as rested as a state as possible. And I was talking to someone, I work with a psychiatrist, and she is so funny. She's like, one time someone told me to never eat while I was doing something else, and I got so upset. And it was just so funny listening to how upset she got about someone saying that, because I've also said that, and I'm also doing things while I'm eating more often, not more often than not, but more often than I would like to say I am. And so I think, yeah, just being real about the fact that sometimes we need to eat while we're driving. Sometimes we're eating while we're hiking. Sometimes we're just eating and talking on the phone. We're not always 100% present, but that can impact how the enzymes are released into the body. So in those cases, when you know that you're, kind of either stressed, time crunched, and hiking, one of these things, we can have some supports. I really like digestive bitters. These you can just squirt a little, and I like the Gaia herbs a lot, but you can just squirt a dropper full of this into a glass of water and drink it with your meal. We, in general, don't want to drink a lot near our meal, because that will dilute our stomach acid, which is really important for, number one, our immune response against the external environment. So technically, even though the food is coming in through our mouth and it seems like it's inside of us, the lining of the digestive tract is still considered to be interacting with the external world. And so the stomach acid is helping to break down any pathogens or bacteria that are harmful. So the stomach is very acidic, but if it's not acidic for a number of reasons, like we didn't chew enough, or we weren't able to, mostly not chewing enough or being mindful while we're eating, but also some people, myself included, are just just tend to have lower stomach acid, or actually that would be higher stomach acid on a pH scale, where mine tends to be less acidic, and that can just be genetic. But if you tend to not have a lot of stomach acid, it can really impact your digestive system, and the bitters can help to increase the acid. And if you're sensitive to a lot of foods, that can be definitely a sign that you have low stomach acid. And so the next line of defense can be digestive enzymes. I really like this brand. In it, you have HCl, which is essentially a synthetic form of stomach acid, glutamic acid, pancreatin, so supporting the pancreas and digesting the carbohydrates, ox bile, which is helping to digest the fats, and pepsin, which is helping to digest protein. So those are a few things that can help. You can also drink a little tablespoon of apple cider vinegar in your water before a meal to help increase the stomach acid. And that will also just help to break the food down. I see that you have a question. Just one thought I have is, if we don't have enough stomach acid, we can still go both directions towards diarrhea or constipation. It doesn't mean one or the other. It just means we're not going to get, because once the food lands in the stomach, if there's not enough stomach acid to break the food down, then that's not going to trigger the chain link of enzymes to be released in the small intestine and the large intestine. And so then you can kind of get any smattering of not enough enzymes. So it's either moving through you too quickly, diarrhea, or not moving quickly enough, which is more on the constipation side. Yes, I'm ready for a question.
Wondering if you could show that enzyme again one more
Yeah.
time.
Definitely.
So it's called Thorn Advanced Digestive Enzyme.
Yes. And this is um, the ingredients. Yeah. And this one has gallbladder support. So it's also helpful. The gallbladder is helpful in breaking down fats. And we all lived through I think most of us have, in general, I think the general public is becoming more friendly towards fats in the diet, but we went through a period of time where fats were really demonized, and that really that really affected all of our ability to digest fat appropriately. And so a lot of gallbladders need support for digesting fat, especially if we were in that low fat craze. My perspective and opinion is that we definitely need fat, and it's certainly not something that's creating fat on our bodies. But it's very important for our hormone balance, digestive system, and everything. Another supplement, since I'm on the topic, and this is my second time through this, and I'm really just like, those of you who know me pretty well know I'm really not a I don't like selling things at all, but this supplement is amazing if you're having digestive trouble. It's a protein supplement, but it's also a liver support and GI support, and it has so many different ingredients that a lot of my clients have reported getting to that 4 on the Bristol scale from using this, a couple scoops of this each day. And in it, you're getting 20 grams of protein, which is amazing because protein is so important for our digestive system, and just keeping our blood sugars regular, keeping our connective tissue healthy and repairing. So I just had that when I was grabbing my supplements that I wanted to show people if you're interested, on some of my favorite digestive supports. So yes.
Sorry for
No,
interrupting.
no, don't be sorry. This is casual conversational.
Well,
And
thank you. I just, when you were putting that supplement up, I couldn't see the name of it. I saw
oh
the
yeah, the Mediclear. I think you have it.
Mediclear Plus. Got it.
Yeah, it's a great. I have not been as impressed by a supplement. It doesn't taste great, but aside from that, and you can, I actually have some in my cacao, so it can be nice to drink it. So we're in winter, and Liz mentioned having a warm dinner, which I think is really supportive during the winter time, kind of back to what we were talking about a little bit last week. But just in general with Ayurveda and being seasonal with our bodies, having a meal that's warm is so helpful on our digestive system. Even in the summer, if we have ice water, it's not recommended for our digestive system, just because it causes the intestines to contract, and it makes it harder for food to move through, and it also makes it harder to absorb the nutrients that are coming through the body. So from an Ayurvedic perspective, ice water is kind of never recommended. They say lukewarm water always. But I think especially in the winter, it's really important for us to be drinking warm and eating warm beverages. And so I bring that up because instead of having a traditional smoothie that I normally would in the summer with this, I have it in hot water with cacao or tea or something like that. All right, how are we doing on content? Okay. So the other thing is that's just very present for me. I had a get together with some friends who were at No King's Day celebrate, or I don't know, protest downtown Portland on Monday. And it's just like I'm very aware of kind of the turmoil that's going on collectively. And I don't think anyone mentioned this in their cauldron, and I didn't either, but it's definitely something I'm very aware of just like the turmoil that is going on collectively and how hard some of it is for me to digest. So the news and just the way that we receive media in today's world is way too much for any system to actually take in and digest. It's like a fire hose of information and stimulation constantly. If we allow it, it can always be there. And there's no way that any mind can digest everything that's available to us. And some of it can be so disturbing that our body gets disgusted or revolted. And I bring that up because we're talking about digestion, not just on a physical plane, but also emotionally, energetically, mentally. And so, one of the practices that we're going to go into in a minute here is going to help support. It doesn't matter. We don't even have to do the puzzle of what am I digesting, but it helps us to digest in all of the ways. Ways that we may be overstimulated or actually rejecting things that are coming in because it's too painful or just something that our psyches don't want to experience, which is totally fine and real. So I just want to see how everyone's doing with this information and if it sparked any aha moments for you with your own digestion that might be physical or something else. Okay.
Definitely,
Yep.
Val. I think what you just named, I feel like that's been swirling around my universe here and really upsetting in a way that I can't, obviously we all have our own opinions about why you might be upset, and that's really not even the point, but I think you put it really well and it helped me to think about that a little bit differently in terms of the just constant barrage. It's just never ending, and thinking about it as emotional digestion or spiritual digestion or energetic digestion. So I appreciate that perspective a lot because I feel it. I think everybody feels it no matter where you live on that spectrum. So
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And yeah, I think some of you have heard my theory on hypermobility and sensitivity. And in working with my own body over the years and also being a like highly sensitive person, and then working with a lot of hypermobile bodies, I started to see this connection between our connective tissue of a hypermobile body being looser, and then that also meaning that spiritually energetic, mental, emotional bodies can also be kind of more porous, and that can lead to this empath type of a quality where you can feel other people's emotions or kind of have intuitions about things. But it can also be really difficult to know, is this something that I'm physically having a digestive issue with, or is my stomach upset and I'm now having diarrhea because I saw something really disturbing on my walk or on my phone or something like that. And so we can be very aware of our sensitivities, but it's also my belief that in general, we all are affected by the collective things that are happening in the world. And it doesn't matter how we feel about it. There's a lot of input coming in all the time, way more than we've biologically adapted to being able to process. So, yeah, I love being a sensitive person, and I also, it's been a big curse over time, but that is definitely where this whole like passion for sharing about the digestive system and the digestive massage comes from, because it's really helped me to not need to be in my mental sphere about like, what did I eat? What's causing this constipation or diarrhea or burping or whatever? Is it physical? Or is it, somebody that I was around that I'm like having a hard time digesting their emotions, or like the rabbit hole can get deep. And instead just kind of nourishing and thinking about it like I'm doing this for my body, and I'm doing it for all of my bodies and all of the bodies that I spend time around. So it's called a Mayan abdominal massage, and typically we do it with lotion. Sorry, with oil, but you can do it with lotion if you don't have the oil. And I do think having something is nice, but you can also do it without lotion or oil. So this one that I'm going to use for the example is castor oil. It's really nice for pulling toxins out of the system. And yeah, but in the winter, I would also suggest sesame oil that is warming to the intestines and can help with constipation for sure, but also just kind of absorbing more. You wouldn't want to use sesame oil if you're struggling with diarrhea, because that would kind of keep the digestive system hot and move things through too quickly. And so in that case, you would want to tend either towards the castor oil or sesame oil. I'm sorry, coconut oil. Coconut oil is very cooling and definitely what I use in the summer, because I'm just really hot in the summer. And yeah, and otherwise you can just use a lotion, but you do want to make sure if you're using a lotion that it's natural, because we're doing this to on the skin, which absorbs so much. And sometimes lotions can have chemicals in them that we're not actually really wanting to absorb into the skin. So, I don't know if people want me to just kind of explain it, or if people are going to want to like lie down and do this. You can do it with your camera off, that's fine, but maybe just give me a heads up of if you'd rather kind of do this right now, or if you'd rather me just go through the explanation. You can do it later. I think my preference would be to give you time to do it so you can ask questions and just kind of be in the embodied experience of it, rather than just taking in more information that you have to digest later.
Okay, I'm up for that.
Okay. So everybody, if you can't take it in right now, that's okay. If you can't do the practice right now, that's okay. But if you can, grab an oil or a lotion and just get yourself nice and comfy. You don't have to keep the screen on, but you can. Lying down is totally, yeah, kind of preferable for this.
It'll take me a second to get lotion. Is that?
Yeah, no
wait.
problem. Yeah. And Cheryl, have you had a chance to watch I don't want to put you on the spot, the video of this?
No, I haven't. I
Okay.
was moving it. I
Perfect.
was done with lymphatic and was ready to go to digestive, and then all hell broke loose in my body. So,
Do
but
you
I'm ready.
remember?
I got my castor oil.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Yeah. Sometimes it's just nice to do it together.
Yep.
I found I teach this class like in an hour long session at Brighton Bush, and I find so much comfort in doing it together, which normally I've just for years done it on my own. And there's just something about, and it almost always is a full room of women. And there's just something really sweet about women touching our bellies together and just like, who is the poet that says the soft animal of our body, just like coming into this space that so often we protect. It's protected by our ribs. But so often we also protect kind of guarding our abdominals. Or if you grew up, you know, with this idea that we needed to suck in our belly. I say that because I grew up dancing and it was like, suck in your belly. It's like, oh my gosh, let's let our bellies expand for this and breathe into it. That's why our initial breathing practice was all about, breathing into the low belly so that we kind of expand these tissues and we're allowing them to be breathed into. And it's vulnerable. Like animals, dogs aren't like quick to let you rub their belly. You know that they are feeling safe if they let you rub their belly. And same with us. And so it's nice to just be in the safe spot in your room or wherever you're at for this practice. And we'll do a somewhat abbreviated version just so that you get the order of things. But this can be extended out. I love doing it in the bath. It can be extended out, after meals. You just want to kind of vary the pressure so you're not making yourself sick. But it can be done at many different times and for many different lengths. So we'll begin by breathing into the low belly and really letting it expand. And then you can just drizzle the oil straight on your stomach if that feels good. And we'll start right at the left hip bone. And we're going to trace from the left hip bone up towards the belly. Medium pressure, as long as you didn't, maybe if you just ate, going a little bit lighter. But tracing from the hip to the belly button. Continuing to breathe deep into the belly, into the pelvic floor. And any affirmation that you want to say to yourself during this. There's time and space to digest everything. Or I only keep what's good for me. I'm thankful for my body. It can be a very nice time to honor the body. And by starting at the left hip bone and moving towards the belly button, we are kind of priming the first part with the last part of the digestive system where the bowels will be moving out. You want to make sure this part's clear. And then moving across the lower belly from the left hip bone over to the right hip bone. And you want a lot of surface area for this. So instead of just doing like just the tips of your fingers, try to put your whole hand on the lower belly. You might feel some bumps. This is beginning to work with the large intestine. The large intestine is, and we always want to go in this direction too, just because this is the direction of the system. But the large intestine is connected to our sacral chakra and grief and letting go. And it's also connected with it's the place physically in our body that we're reabsorbing water. And so if you tend towards the constipation side of things, your body is reabsorbing too much water, essentially. And if you tend more towards diarrhea, you're not absorbing enough water, and that's why the water's coming out more in the stool. And then we'll move from the right hip up towards the belly button, painting a line. And taking nice deep breaths into the low belly. Sometimes you'll feel little gurgles. That's totally fine. If you start to adapt this practice on a regular basis, you'll start to notice the bumps move around. They feel different at different times of the day or different days. Just on a personal note, my system is feeling more bumpy than usual, which isn't super surprising to me given the kind of floaty feeling that I was talking about earlier. And now we're going to move from the right hip up towards the bottom of the right rib cage. And if you you can kind of move your hand into the intestine a little bit, and you might feel like a hose, garden hose type of a feeling. That's how you know you're on the ascending colon here. Just moving in the same direction. And then we're right at the liver. The liver is right under the right rib cage here. So then kind of gently moving from the bottom of the right rib cage across the bottom of the rib cage to the left side. And I'm just doing this without the oil right now, but hopefully you're able to do it straight on your skin. And then we'll move from the bottom of the left ribs straight down again, coming down the descending colon. And again, you can kind of get the side thing where you can feel the garden hose consistency potentially. If that doesn't make sense, let me know. But you might feel it and you might not. If you do this right after a meal, you'll feel the bowels in different spots than like if you did it first thing in the morning, just because of where you're at with your digestive process. Okay, so that's the large intestine. And now we're going to move into the small intestine. So just coming right around the belly button, you can like get a circular position of your hands and sink into the tissue kind of deep so you lose your pinky, and then move in a clockwise direction with the tissue. So you're actually kind of you're pressing in and then pulling the fascia underneath your hand. And you don't have to use both hands at the same time if it hurts your hands. But we're trying to get this kind of churning of the small intestine right around 2 inches or so around the belly button. So sinking in and then turning. And now, just for the sake of time, we'll come doing full circles all the way around again, kind of a broader, less specific clockwise direction. Taking deep breaths into the belly. And then if it feels good, you can take your hand from your heart and move straight down your body towards your pubic bone, just to help the flow of this is more of an energetic practice, the flow of the digestive system down. I had an acupuncturist teach me this. And it can really help if you're not digesting something well, you're feeling disgust, or you can just tell something emotionally or physically didn't sit well, just kind of helping it to move through. All right, so does anyone have any questions on that?
I have one question.
Okay,
About how long would you do that, and would you do it on a daily basis?
I do it on a daily basis. And I think, if you have the time, 10 minutes to 30 minutes would be great. But if you could do it for 30 seconds as opposed to nothing, I think it really helps the tissues just to be broken up on a consistent basis. The fascia can get very adhesed between the intestines and the muscles of the abdomen and the walls and the lining and whatnot. And so it can just help to break it up with the consistency of the touch and the oil to help kind of bring more hydration into the intestines. That's one thing I didn't mention, but with constipation, since it is kind of an absorption issue, having the oil or lotion on the skin can help to the body not to reabsorb as much water because it's not feeling like it's dehydrated. And so that can also help with moving the stools through easier. So that's a long answer to 30 seconds to 30 minutes would be great. But it doesn't have to be formal. Like you can do it if you're on the phone or watching a show or lying in bed at night. If I can't sleep and I'm noticing my head is kind of spinning, I'll definitely do this to help me on all the levels absorb what's going on.
Thanks.
Mhm. And I have some videos in the video library of this, and it's about 15 minutes, but I'm also kind of going through which oil are we going to use and that, so you can kind of skip through that part. And I think the example is about 10 minutes in there. And it can be, small bits throughout the day too. Like if like I can feel unusual for me, a spot right here, right under my liver. I don't normally have a spot right there, but the liver is also associated with anger, which I think with some of the stuff my friend was sharing on Monday after the protest, like there is definitely some, just like rage coming up about some things that she was sharing. And that can be, one of these emotional things of, oh, I'm holding more stuff here kind of around the liver area. And I want to spend just some circle time around that spot rather than going through the whole digestive system.
Mhm.
Any other questions? Alrighty. Well, thank you everyone for coming tonight, and I hope that this was helpful to you. Yeah, and if you have any questions pop up, feel free to reach out. Yeah, good to see you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was awesome. Thanks, Val.
yeah.
Thank you, Val.
So if you already have yourself oily, maybe you can keep doing it a little bit longer. And castor oil is very sticky and messy, so I like to do it with a bath or when I'm going to take a shower or a bath afterwards. And sesame oil, you want to do it with clothes you don't mind if they get a little bit of an oil stain on them. I don't care if my clothes get oil on them. But yeah, that's just one thing to think about. And next week we'll be talking about the lymphatic system, which is, or sorry, not next week, but our next class, which might be like March 4th. And that's also about elimination, but in a different system of the body. So it's about helping to move fluid through the body. And yeah, so I'm excited to share that with you too. And it's helpful for our immune systems. All right, everybody. Maybe we'll just do a quick closing. If you want to say maybe one thing you're looking forward to in the next couple of weeks, and one thing that you could use some support with, whether that's from the group or just you would like support in something.
Well, as I heal and get better, I am anxious for to get back into some routines and to maybe get some support, Val. Move, make feeling more confident and stable. And I really, after January 31st, thought I was solid, and I feel like things fell apart a little with this illness. So I'm looking for some support as I kind of regain my strength and get back. And my hope is that it's a really short distance now to get back, rather, because I've already been there. So that's where I'm at.
Thank you so much for sharing that, and definitely we'll be sending that support and providing that support.
And Cheryl, hope you feel better soon. For me, I guess this is going to be the two sides of the same coin. The thing I'm looking forward to is having more time for myself and friendships. And the thing I haven't need support navigating is having less time with my primary support person and relationship. So very bittersweet right now.
Marina, good luck with that. I can tell that it's bittersweet, like you said. So good luck with that. And Cheryl, I sure hope you feel better. I had bronchitis just recently, and that's just not that much fun. So hope you feel better. I think that the thing I'm looking forward to a lot of things coming up just because I'm looking forward to continuing some work I've started on trying to be more healthy. So I'm trying to work out with weights a little bit more. And so I'm optimistic about that. And if I need any support, it's following through on going to the doctor and understanding how old I am and understanding that I can't just always think I'm fine, and that I need to delve into things so that and know my numbers instead of just pretend they're fine.
Thank you for sharing that. And also, you're maybe looking forward to your birthday tomorrow.
I am looking forward to my birthday.
I love birthdays. I can't let that one slide. Yeah, but I hear that, and happy to also provide any support in the accountability of, yeah. getting those things checked out so it doesn't have to be a mental weight. And it can just be like someone's keeping an eye and kind of tracking patterns. Yeah. I am personally looking forward to my next step. And I think it's similar that it's also what I could use support on right now is just transitioning, especially in the middle of winter, is difficult. But you know, I'm trusting that the next step is going to be a good chapter for me and a longer lasting chapter. So, all right, everybody.
It was lovely to meet you, Liz,
Thank you.
and to see you again, Marina and Val, of course.
It's great to see everybody, and I hope you have a good night.
Thanks, Val.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Happy
Bye.
birthday, Liz.